Wrigleyville has been buzzing. We're just a couple of weeks away from a potential playoff game, and the Cubs hoping they'll at least get one here at Wrigley Field. It's social media night here on Comcast Sportsnet as we bring you game one of this three-game set, the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs. Welcome to Cubs baseball here on CSN. Jim DeShays and Len Casper. What a dramatic, thrilling weekend. Some tension, Cardinals and Cubs. Cubs now playing the last place team in the division. We'll get right into the pitching matchup. Jason Hamill for the Cubs and the only non-rookie currently in the Brewer rotation.
That would be right-hander Willie Peralta, 17-game winner last year. He's had a disappointing season this year. He spent a bunch of time on the DL. You see here in the month of September, he's pitched to a 5.25 ERA. Jason Hamill, if he spent his entire career pitching against the Milwaukee Brewers, he would be headed to the Hall of Fame. 7-0 with a 2.13 lifetime against the Brew Crew.
And the Cubs will look for their 8th consecutive win against Milwaukee in this season series. And as we continue tonight, it is social media tonight, so make sure you're on Twitter as you watch us as well. Cubs hosting the Brewers coming up next.
Powered by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. AT&T Uverse. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PIG-ATT. Mobilizing your world. Ford. Check out America's freshest lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com.
What a gorgeous homestand we've had, right? Weather-wise, not just tonight. It has been every day so far, and the forecast looks pretty good for the rest of the week. The Cubs will wrap up the home schedule 1 week from tonight in a makeup game against the Kansas City Royals, who are closing in on an American League Central Division title. And it is social media night tonight here at the ballpark. And while you're watching the game on CSN, follow the Cubs and us on social media. Then tweet us your questions or share your fan photos using hashtag CubsSocial. You could win prizes and be seen on TV throughout the game.
I'm in.
Veteran right-hander Jason Hamill has been struggling as of late, but pitching against a team he has dominated in his career, as JD mentioned in the open. And let's check out Craig Counsell's Brewers lineup, brought to you by Southwest. Scooter Gennett will lead it off and play second. Logan Schaefer is in center. Adam Lind has had a very nice year, and the Brewers needed it at first base. He's got a club option for next year, and they'll likely exercise that. Chris Davis in left will clean up. Domingo Santana, he came over in the Carlos Gomez deal. He's in for Ryan Braun. Gene Segura, the shortstop. Hernan Perez at third. Martin Maldonado in for the injured Jonathan Lucroy. And Willie Peralta, the pitcher, will hit ninth.
Cubs defensively, Kyle Schwarber back out there in left. Dexter Fowler, hashtag fast in center. Chris Coughlin's in right. Chris Bryant's at third. Addison Russell, hashtag future Gold Glover at short. Starlin Castro, hashtag Great September at second. Anthony Rizzo's at first. Miguel Montero's behind the plate. And Alexis pursuing perfection starting pitcher is at Hamilton 39. Jason Hamill, 8-6, 3.73 the ERA as he takes the mound for the 29th time.
There are your umpires. Mike Estabrook, hashtag balls and strikes. Toby Basner, Paul Nauert, and Dana DeMuth, hashtag crew chief.
Just drive people nuts as Hamill gets ready to throw that hashtag slider. Yeah, this is an important start for Jay. It's just important for him to get back to being himself, feeling good about things. It's been a bumpy ride here lately. Last time out, a troublesome first inning against the Pirates. We touched him up for 3 runs in the first.
So here we go. Hamill to Jeanette, and right down the middle. And a strike. Talked to Jason the other day and said, what are you working on in the bullpen? He said 2 things. Working on his rhythm. He's trying to keep things a little more like clockwork instead of speeding up and slowing down. And obviously limiting base runners will help in that department. And the other thing is fixing his front side leak, as he called it. He said that was making the ball fly up in the zone. I said, is it something you feel? He said, no, I know the result. When the ball is up, that means I'm leaking a bit.
Yeah, you can see
explain
it.
That?
Yeah, and it's not like the Grinch. Remember when the Grinch leaked in the Jim Carrey movie? I'm leaking. No, it's not that kind of leak. It's a front shoulder drifting towards first base. So as a pitcher, you want to keep that front shoulder closed, keep your chin and everything kind of towards home plate, drive it towards the target. Eventually, to make the pitch, you have to rotate open. But when a pitcher talks about leaking, he's rotating open too early.
3-2.
I think sometimes for bigger guys too, and Jason's a big guy, 6 feet 6 inches tall, sometimes a little tougher to repeat the mechanics.
And lined into right. That's a leadoff single for Scooter Jeanette. Brewers just ended an 8-game losing streak with a win yesterday. They hired a new general manager earlier today, so even though they're a last place club, got a lot going on right now. There's Craig Counsell. He took over in early May after Ron Renneke was fired. And Milwaukee's 56-68 since Counsell took over. They're rebuilding. More on their new GM a little later. Here's Logan Schaefer, the center fielder. And ball 1.
And I think the biggest challenge for Jason is just turning the page, right? I mean, we talk about it with relievers all the time after a bad outing. The advantage a reliever has, a lot of times he's right back out there the very next night. When you're struggling as a starter, you have to sit there and stew with it, deal with it for 5 days before you get your next start. And so the brain becomes a bit of an issue where you're thinking an awful lot, and then you get out there, okay, here's my night, it's my turn to pitch. And you struggle a little bit early on, and you can fall into that trap of, oh no, here I go again, and all the negativity starts to creep in.
Two balls, no strikes. No Ryan Braun. He's got a back issue. We may see him at some point in this series. He's going to have a minor procedure after the season. That ball hit hard on the ground past Rizzo into right. It'll send Jeanette to third, and the Brewers have something brewing here in the first inning with Lind coming up.
You can hope all you want to have that good start, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. And this is not a horrible pitch. It's a sinker down below the knees. Schaefer gets the head out in front of it, rips it into right, and they go first and third. In his last start, Jason went walk, hit batsman, single to start the ball game. Here it's a couple of knocks, and now the Cubs will look to turn two and try to clean this thing up a little bit.
Lind has 19 home runs. All have come against righties, sitting over 300 versus right-handed pitchers. I mentioned the club option the Brewers have for next year, $8 million. That's very affordable for the kind of production they've gotten from Adam Lind. And outside on a curveball.
Certain amount of irony in that the Brewers had a hard time replacing Prince Fielder, and first base was a real issue there for a couple of years, and now they seem to have the first base issue solved, at least for this year, and so much else went wrong for them.
Yeah, it feels like it's one of the very few things that went right.
Yeah, the biggest issue has been starting pitching. Starting pitching really struggled. So now they're leaning on a lot of youngsters, and they got some kids with some arms, so it could be a quicker turnaround in Milwaukee than people anticipate.
Cubs will try to turn two here in exchange for a run if he can get a ground ball up the middle.
We showed you the numbers on Hamill in the open. 7-0, 2.13 ERA. Lifetime against Milwaukee, he's made 10 starts against them. 4 starts this year, 2-0 with a 2.59.
The kick and the 1-2. Called strike 3. That'll help.
Backdoor slider, just on or just off the outside corner, but he gets the benefit of the doubt.
Now Chris Davis, who has put up all-star numbers at home and has really struggled on the road this year. September's been his best month so far. He looks at ball one. Should we add up all the home runs hit by guys named Chris Davis?
Been a good year for Chris
Davis.
Like
65 or something.
Well, you know, this guy swings and misses. He strikes out a fair bit, but he'll take his walks. And when he decides to let that bat fly, he doesn't get cheated.
Nice crowd on hand tonight. He was able to check his swing. It's 2-0. So no Braun tonight. Jonathan Lucroy trying to come back from a concussion. I doubt we'd see him at all in this series.
Carlos Gomez traded. Ramos Ramirez traded.
Yeah. Leon Herrera injured on an outfield collision a couple of days ago. So banged up.
They won yesterday, but they had dropped 8 in a row prior to that.
Found out today Jimmy Nelson will not make another start this year. After he took that liner off his head in his last start. Hamill throws it away. And the Brewers will get on the board as Jeanette scores. Schaefer all the way to third.
Well, he like a mulligan on that one. Schaefer didn't have a real big lead, and Jason thought maybe he'd just kind of catch him flat-footed there, tried to snap one over there quickly, and it cost him big time. There goes a double play opportunity. Only 2 first-inning runs allowed by Hamill this year.
Infield back at the moment. It's 2-2 on Davis, and now Anthony Rizzo wants to maybe move in a few steps, and everybody coming in now with 2 strikes. Here it is, fouled away.
Yeah, I think this is Joe doing it here early against Milwaukee. There's just not a lot of firepower in this lineup, so you feel more comfortable pulling the infield in. If Davis were to get a base hit through the infield here, you have a better chance of pitching around it than you would, say, against that Cardinal lineup or the Pirates, some of the better lineups in the league.
Davis pulled that one right out of Montero's glove. A very late emergency hack just to stay in the at-bat. Yeah, that's a great and the tough thing about this game of baseball, right? You have this tension-filled, dramatic, exciting series against your arch rivals over the weekend, but you got to go right back out there. Another big strikeout for Hamill as he gets Davis. Davis just broke his bat. 2 down in the inning. Here comes Domingo Santana.
Yeah, you're always worried about a little bit of a letdown coming off a series like that, and then when you get up against an inferior opponent. Shouldn't be an issue, especially here at home. It'd be one if you went into Milwaukee and there was kind of a deader atmosphere, maybe. At home, I don't think it'd be an issue.
Santana, an intriguing guy, 23 years old. He's been really good so far with Milwaukee. Those are his combined numbers. Astros, Brewers. He came over in the Carlos Gomez, Mike Fiers deal on July 30th. Originally signed by the Phillies, and he makes it 2-0. Schaefer scores. So the first 2 batters of the ball game eventually come around to score. Gene Segura, the shortstop. Off the plate inside, ball 1. Among the Brewer players, Domingo Santana probably as excited as anyone about the hiring of their new general manager, because it's David Stearns, who was the Astros assistant GM. So Santana knows him well. David Stearns, just 30 years old, a Harvard alum. Runner goes, swing and a miss. And the throw is late.
The book on Santana, a very toolsy player, big strong guy, has power, has a big outfield arm, he can run a little bit, but a lot of swing and miss, very raw. 23 years of age. The Astros acquired him from the Phillies in a Hunter Pence deal a few years back, and now moved again, this time to the Brewers, with Gomez going to the Astros.
1-1 on Segura. Ground ball to short. Backhanded by Russell. And he gets him at first to end the inning. 3 hits, an error, and 2 runs with the Cubs coming up. Beverage Depot will donate $100 to Make-A-Wish, Illinois. Cubs Southwest starting lineup, and you see the Twitter handles: Dexter Fowler, Kyle Schwarber, Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo. You see his career numbers against Mr. Peralta. There's Starlin Castro's Instagram. Miguel Montero, we are good, right? That's the hashtag he started. Addison Russell at short. Jason Hamill, the pitcher, and Chris Coughlin, who's that? Playing right.
He's lurking down there.
He doesn't have Twitter handle, I guess.
Davis, Schaefer, Santana. Left, center, right. Third to first, Perez, Segura, Jeanette, Lynn. Martin Maldonado, the catcher. Lexus starting pitcher. Willie Peralta.
Dexter Fowler high in the air, and it's going to be hauled in by Schaefer. 64 degrees and east wind at 3 miles an hour, not doing much, but whatever wind there is, it's blowing in.
Tough year for Peralta. He missed a couple of months with a oblique injury. He's 5-9 with a 4.41 as he makes his 20th start. Kind of an odd stat line. He struck out just 58. He has one of the lowest strikeout rates in baseball. As a matter of fact, among the National League pitchers who have thrown at least 100 innings, he's 126 out of 133 in terms of his strikeout percentage. But he throws, upwards of 97 miles per hour. So he's got a good arm. He's got good stuff. He just doesn't get a lot of swings and misses.
One strike on Kyle Schwarber. He lines one to center. Schaefer in to make the grab. As he start for Schaefer. Chris Bryant hitting third tonight. Chris Coughlin, you saw down in the 9 spot. Bryant has knocked in 29 runs his last 31 games. Strike called on Bryant. One of those runs unearned off Hamill in the first.
Peralta throws 2-seamers and 4-seamers. So he'll use the 2-seam fastball a little bit more than the 4. So it gets a little sink and a little run. In on the righties, away from the lefties. Has a slider and a change. And once in a while throw a little split finger.
He's put together 6'1", 245. Coming off a 17-win campaign last year. '89th career start. We'll have a bullpen night tomorrow. Tyler Cravey will get the start against Jake Arrieta. Full count, 3-2. Right-hander Zach Davies against Kyle Hendricks on Wednesday. All 3 games. 7:05 first pitch. Hard and foul as Gary Jones backs out of the way.
It's an attention getter for a pitcher. The guy turns on your good fastball like that. We saw it with Solair yesterday. Solair turned on 99. It was a 95-mile-an-hour heater. Brian just turned on.
In the air to right. Santana makes the catch, and Peralta with a 1-2-3 opening inning.
Milwaukee up 2-0 already here in the top of the second. But all night, we want you to get interactive on the broadcast, okay? So just use the hashtag Cubs Social through Twitter, through Facebook. Send us photos, ask us questions, and we'll use some of the best of them throughout the broadcast. Of course, Miguel Montero and this whole team big on social media, starting the hashtag We Are Good. And Jason Mott talked about it before the game.
We're doing well early in the year, and he'd be like, "Man, we are good." He just started putting it on Twitter, and we'd win a game, he'd be like, "We are good," hashtag We Are Good. And
there's shirts everywhere.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's just one of the things that caught on, and honestly, it's kind of fun because, like I said, we are good. We are a good ball club, but like I said, I think it's starting to, the fans starting to believe it, the players in that clubhouse starting to believe it, and like I said, hey, we have a good club, and so and I think we knew that in spring training, but it was on us to go out and do it, go out to perform.
We already have some great photos coming in tonight. Again, hashtag Cubs Social. These guys showing us how they're taking in the game and all about watching the Cubs here this evening against the Brewers. And just please continue to send those in, and we'll have fun with it. Thanks a lot, guys. Back up to you in the booth.
Thank you, Kelly. As Hernan Perez fouls it off. Did we have Kelly's Twitter handle up? No, she's on Twitter. We'll get it next time we talk to her. 3 hits in the first, 2 runs for Milwaukee, 1 unearned as Hamill made that errant pickoff throw. Oh, it was on the graphic. @Kelly _Kroll. Okay. Coughlin's got it in right. For the first out, it'll bring up Martin Maldonado. Pitcher Peralta now on deck. Hamill would love a nice quick 1-2-3 here after a long first. Sprite looking ahead to this weekend against the Pirates. John Lester will go on Friday. Hamill comes back Saturday, and then Jake Arrieta on Sunday. So Dan Herron will be skipped this week. Cubs are off Thursday. Pirates won 2 of 3 in LA. Big series win for them, and they're in Colorado tonight. Fowler drifts in.
Corn for 2 quick outs. AJ Burnett for the Pirates tonight out in Denver. We got Charlie Morton working the ball game tomorrow. They play Thursday, though, right? They have a 4-game series, I believe.
That sounds right. Let me confirm. Yeah, they've got a day game on Thursday. Peralta 1 for 28. Kerrywood in the ballpark. We showed him on the video board. Got a great hand. His Twitter handle is @Kerrywood. Foul tip.
Is he a frequent tweeter?
I don't know.
Hashtag strikeout 20.
Two and two.
Whoop. Don't guide it. If Willie's hacking here, if he goes into 50-50 mode and just hopes for a ball.
Ooh, it was squared up as Fowler dropped it. And Peralta will end up at second.
Pretty well struck for an 036 hitter. So Fowler, who has really tightened up for Peralta, he plays a shallow center to begin with, but he was well in. Had to travel a ways to get this one, but should have hauled it in. That's an E8. And so much for the quick 1, 2, 3 inning. A little more work to be done here for Hamill. So the second error of the ball game. We just got done talking about that there shouldn't be a letdown after the Cardinals series. But sometimes what you expect and what actually happens are two different things.
Jeanette started the ball game with a base hit. And takes ball one. He spent some time back in the minor leagues earlier this season. He was hitting 154 when he was sent out in mid-May. Returned less than a month later. He's hit 286 in 81 games since coming back.
Probably a little miscast as a leadoff man. He doesn't draw walks, and he's not a real speed guy. So he doesn't have a high on-base presence. Doesn't steal a lot of bases either. His offensive value is pretty much tied to his batting average.
Career 287 hitter in 308 games, and he tried to bunt for a hit with 2 outs and a runner at second.
Yeah, that's just not good baseball. Maybe his thinking is it's going to take 2 hits to score Peralta from second base anyway. But still, usually with 2 outs and a man in scoring position, you're hacking. You're not trying to bunt there. You want to leave it to the next guy.
2-2. Kick and the pitch. Pulled it foul. Russell charges, and he throws out Jeanette, and that will end the inning. 2-out error, but no runs. 2-0 Milwaukee early.
Hey, Cub fans, let's go. The best ticket availability for this final homestand of the regular season is during the next 2 games here with the Brewers. Don't miss your chance to see Cubs baseball at Wrigley Field. For tickets, visit Cubs.com. Do it today.
Well, Peralta getting set for his second inning of work, and the Brewers banged up. If it's no Ryan Braun in their lineup. This was a nasty collision. Shane Peterson and Elian Herrera in left. Herrera was down for a while. He ended up, thankfully, with only a badly bruised thigh.
Man.
Peterson with a knee. He got spiked, I think, in the hand. And Herrera left on a stretcher.
That's the first time I'd seen that replay. Both those guys carrying a lot of speed into that collision. So it's reset time for the Brewers. It's going to be a busy offseason for them. They try to figure out how they're going to compete in this very difficult NL Central. That's the real challenge for the likes of the Brewers and the Reds, with the Cardinals, Cubs, and Pirates playing at such a high level. There's a lot of ground to make up.
Rizzo knocked in a couple yesterday on a base hit against the Cardinals. He was thrown out at the plate as the Cubs were trying to tie it late in the 8th inning. Jason Hayward nailed him from right. On that play, Yadier Molina injured his left thumb. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, 2-1. And Molina has a mild ligament tear in that thumb. So he's out at least a week. They hope he will be back before the end of the regular season. Off the plate inside, 3-1.
Yeah, boy, that's obviously a very important part of the anatomy for a catcher. And you see the tag play here. The heck of a play, great throw, great catch and tag by Molina, but ligament issues for Yadier now, and so even if he comes back and he's able to catch, you just wonder how well he'll be able to swing the bat. The good news for the Cardinals is apparently Adam Wainwright has been cleared to resume baseball activities, and they expect that he will be able to pitch for them in the postseason out of the bullpen.
Ball 4. Cubs have a base runner. So with Molina out for a bit, the Cardinals have selected the contract of Travis Tartamella.
Tartamella?
Yes. Good baseball name. Tony Cruz will take over as the starter. So Tartamella and Ed Easley will be the backups.
Not Bacabella. Tartamella.
Starlin Castro. He and Rizzo both really good numbers against Willie Peralta. Swing and a miss.
A little anxious there. Cheating on a heater, guessing strike. But he's had a string of really good at-bats, having a heck of a month.
Shot out toward the alley, and it'll roll to the wall. Rizzo on his way to third. Gary Jones is going to send him. Might be a play, and he is safe. No, yes, he is. Wow, Maldonado, I didn't think he had a prayer at fielding that ball. He did, and Rizzo found a way in.
Now pretty aggressive, third, too. Aggressive send here by Gary Jones with nobody out. It pays off. Segura's throw was in time. Maldonado didn't handle it by the time he got his hands on it. Rizzo had cross home plate. Up into the chest protector. therein lies the argument for the aggressive send, though. So many times the throw's offline or the catcher has a hard time handling it. That play yesterday by the Cardinals, everything done just perfectly. And hashtag Castro with another line drive. Wow.
That's a long one. Tying run now at third.
Yeah, I would guess at some point in that sequence, Jonesy was thinking, I'd like to have this one back. Only because of the out situation. I don't think with 2 outs, you have no qualms about sending him there. With 1 out, some qualms. Nobody out, probably a lot of qualms as that throw was headed home.
Very good play by Maldonado to keep it in front of him.
And of course, the advantage of the send there, aside from scoring the run, is the throw comes all the way home, and that allows Castro to get all the way to third base, and he's standing there with nobody out.
He is now 13 out of 28 against Peralta. 2-1 on Montero.
Well, you can just see it too, the way Joe's playing it. When Starlin was scuffling in that situation, he probably is sending Rizzo because he's anticipating a ground ball to the left side and he wants to make sure he stays out of the double play. But Castro, the way he's been driving the ball lately, that's less of an issue.
Infield back, contact paramount here, and Montero swings and misses. So that's out number 1. And it'll bring up Addison Russell.
Talking with Joe and John Maley a little bit around the batting cage. Cubs took BP on the field today, which rarely happens, so it was kind of fun to hang out and chat a little bit. And I was talking about Castro, and Joe was saying, I was talking with John about hitting mechanics, or John was kind of deflecting praise. I said, man, you're doing a great job. And it's all Castro. And Joe said, I just like the look in his eye. Joe didn't want to get into hitting mechanics or change of approach. He said, Castro's coming to the ballpark now, this kind of tenacity about him.
Supremely confident. There's John Maley, Chicago native, back with his hometown team. 2-0 on Russell, so he moves up ahead of the pitcher, Chris Coghlan, for the first time in his career, batting 9th. Infield in, the 2-0. Missed again. Russell, 114 starts, batting 9th. This is the 13th time he's hit above that spot. And he walks.
The safety squeeze has been the default play in this situation. First and third, 1 out, pitcher hitting.
There's the bunt right back to Peralta. They've got Castro caught in a rundown, tag applied. So 2 outs, first and second. It will be up to Coghlan.
I think you either have to go or not go there, and Starlin came partway down the line and then slammed on the brakes. By then it was too late to retreat to third base. Not an easy read, but if he continues on at least towards home plate and forces the throw home, he could stay in the rundown a little bit longer, and perhaps the back runners could move up. if nothing else, you want Peralta to have to make a throw to home just in case he makes a bad throw.
And more of an on-base presence to that 9 spot with a 342 OBP for Coghlan. One ball, no strikes. Well, that Montero strikeout for Peralta looming large here in this inning. He then walked Russell, looked like a workaround with the pitcher next. He gets a fielder's choice bunt off the bat of Hamill. Not out of the woods yet, though. 2-0 on Coghlan.
Sitting dead red. Red was low, so he didn't swing. Yeah, and that's it. The safety squeeze. The other part of that play is you're making sure you stay out of a double play, and that allows Coghlan a chance to swing here with a man in scoring position.
Green light. He fouled it off. 3-1. So you can see a 3-0 pitch. You're going to get a fastball in that situation. Pick off attempt close, but Russell got back in time.
You know, one of the great pastimes at the ballpark is the passing, the sharing of knowledge, whether one possesses it or not. I've heard a lot of conversations in the stands at a ballpark that leave you scratching your head. But it's the beauty of it.
Bases loaded. Here comes Fowler. 3 walks in the inning.
We've seen this Cubs lineup do this to opposing starting pitchers all summer long. Willing to take walks.
TNT U-verse multi-view. Cubs trailed by a run here in the second. And the bases loaded with 2 outs for Dexter Fowler.
Again, this is not a passive situation for Fowler just because Peralta's had a hard time finding the zone. You got to be ready to hit here.
To send out a happy 65th birthday wish. It's actually tomorrow, but Bill Rank turning 65 tomorrow. Happy birthday, Bill. One and one.
We've seen Peralta do some very good work, and when he's good, that pitch is a big pitch for him, that 2-seam fastball. It starts in on a left-handed hitter and then just works its way back to the inside corner.
Two and one. Second base. 2 runs are going to score as Hamill is right behind Russell. I don't know if it counted. It did not count. So Hamill's run will not count as Fowler is out at second.
Wow, it could be huge. And the Cubs are waiting. They're going to take a look at this in their replay room and decide whether to challenge or not. I think he's in there, yeah. I think this run is ultimately going to count, and I think we're going to play on.
So Joe has challenged the call, and they will overturn this based on what we just saw. So it is time for a Forsythe Technology replay review.
You could see this play developing, that it was going to be bang bang at second base, and as you saw Jason come down the line, you knew there was a chance that the out would be recorded before he crossed home plate.
Now that part they got absolutely right. The thing they didn't get right was that Fowler was safe.
Yep.
So the Cubs will have the lead.
I'm just glad I hadn't marked my scorecard yet. It's taken me all summer long to learn this, all year. And taking longer than I anticipated. Talk among yourselves at home. We're just hanging out here watching these guys. Oh, this would be a good time for some bonus trivia. What was that trivia question you asked me earlier? The doubles one.
Well, I don't have the answer to it.
Yeah,
so.
but we can let our people at social media night, our folks
okay, so
watching, can grind away. And
yeah, one player in Major League history with 10 straight 35 double campaigns.
And they should tweet that to what?
Whatever they want. I think it's hashtag Cubs Social.
One player.
35 doubles.
35 doubles, 10 consecutive years.
Yep.
Well, I checked some of the, Tris Speaker, I think, is the all-time doubles leader. I checked him. It wasn't him. Biggio is way up there. One in. There we go. We're safe.
Fowler will get 2 RBIs out of it.
And a double.
Not sure what Joe is on about. I think they gave Fowler a single. Oh, they gave him a double. Okay. Yep. Yeah, it was a single.
When he was out.
Yep. Yeah. And that is his 300th career extra base hit.
Russell home, Hamill home, Coghlan's on third. Schwarber's looking to do some damage.
Taking advantage of 3 walks in the inning. Line right field, and Santana. Wow. Misjudged it, but he makes the grab. That would have plated 2 more. So the Cubs get 3 runs, and they now have the lead after 2. It's 3-2.
I think it might have been nothing.
Photo, use hashtag Northside Data Strong Fan. You just might see yourself later in the game. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Three to two. Cubs now with the lead. The answer to the trivia question is Todd Helton, and a lot of our Twitter followers got it right.
Congratulations.
I will assume it was a pure guess on their part, and they were not sitting there with their laptop.
Be Googling people.
Looking it up. Two and Logan Schaefer. We want to welcome all our viewers watching on AT&T Uverse in the Chicagoland area tonight.
We had that shot of Joe and was upset about something. I'm not sure what.
Schaefer strikes out.
More on that in a moment. But first, this Wednesday, it's the 23rd, Cubs Brewers. First pitch 7:05. All Budweiser bleacher fans 21 years of age and over will receive a reusable tote bag presented by Hornitos. To purchase, visit Cubs.com.
Hey,
Hornito or Hornito?
Does it start with an H?
Yeah. I think it could be a silent H.
Joseph on Twitter from Bettendorf, Iowa, with this note. This is even better than Todd Helton. Robinson Cano with one more double will join Helton on that list.
There you go.
He's got 34 this year. I like that. It's good. Good note. Thanks, Joe.
But the point about Joe Madden, whatever he was upset about, I think sometimes too a manager will take the temperature of his team, and obviously everybody fully engaged with these series with the Cardinals and the Pirates. Everybody's up, rah rah rah, and a little flat early on. A couple miscues. Maybe it's just his way of making sure everybody knows. He said, "Here we go again."
Castro let the ball play him. Lind on his way to second, and he's safe. That'll be an error on Castro, and I think that one hurt. It might have hit him in the shin.
Yep, and we've seen this a lot from Starlin at short. When he just gets caught in between, he's in hot pursuit, then he decides to retreat, and usually when that happens, bad things happen. Especially at second base. Usually if you charge that ball aggressively, keep it in front, even if you don't field it cleanly, you still got a real good shot of picking up and throwing out a base runner, especially a guy like Adam Lind, who's not particularly fast. But that's the third error by the Cubs here already tonight.
Ball one on Davis.
Managers are looking for consistency of effort and engagement, regardless of competition and venue, whether you're in your home ballpark, on the road, a winning team, a team at the bottom of the division. Just want to see that in on every pitch mentality from his guys.
Toward third, that ball actually kicked back toward fair territory, and Davis is out as Bryant makes the play.
Adjustment to come back and get that one, and he has to make sure he Doesn't stumble over the base as he gets set to make his throw. Steams it on over there. Davis is out.
And Santana, RBI single and a stolen base in his first at bat. And a leaping grab on a rocket hit by Kyle Schwarber to end the bottom of the second. One ball, no strikes. Big series in Toronto. Jays hosting the Yankees with a 2.5 game lead over New York and a 3-0 Toronto lead in the 6th. Down by Montero. And Santana did not swing. 2-0. Wild card matchup over in the American League. Two teams trying to just get in. Angels trailing the Astros 2-0 in the bottom of the 3rd. Houston with a 2.5 game lead over the Angels and the Twins going into play tonight. Season ended right now. The Astros would go to Yankee Stadium in the American League wild card.
Costanza could get together with his buddies again. You know the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, those crazy, you know what?
Those guys.
Two on Santana.
That's the book on Santana. Put a wrinkle in it.
Swing and a miss to end the inning. Cubs had made an error in each inning. They, however, lead this game at 3-2 on social media night here on CSN. So far, the Rizzo catch August 12th against this Brewers ball club. The Jake Arrieta no-hitter in Los Angeles. Chris Bryant's 495-foot home run against the Arizona Diamondbacks. See the hashtags, you can vote. And I'm not saying any of these are necessarily wrong, but if you don't say Arrieta no. With all due respect to the others, a no-hitter was pretty darn special, right?
You're trying to influence the electorate.
No, well,
yeah. That's,
maybe Chris Bryant just voted right there with his bat.
Some people would say, well, yeah, Arrieta is the most impressive performance, but they're going to say my favorite moment.
Okay, all right.
So that's if you wanted to parse it, you could justify changing your vote. But if you're looking for the most impressive performance, absolutely the Arrieta no. Got a lot of walk-offs. Rizzo's magical slide.
How about Russell's play to end Saturday's game? Your catch in the booth Friday.
Well, goes without saying.
Pitch to Rizzo is a strike on the inside.
And perhaps the best moment yet to come.
The
after catch. I don't know why I feel compelled to salute after I make a catch.
Line shot center field. Bryant will stop at second. A couple of hard hit balls to greet Peralta here in the third.
Yeah, control has not been sharp. He walked 3. He's allowed a couple of doubles. Schwarber's hit 2 bullets for outs. There's been a lot of contact, hard contact against Peralta here.
Anthony right there with that swing is saying hashtag Rizzo catch.
And one of the
Jake can't vote tonight with his bat.
One of the developing storylines is the resurgence of this man right here.
Strike called on Starlin. Pitch up now to 262.
Check out his September. 419 with a lot of power. 4 home runs, hitting gaps, hitting the ball out of the ballpark, a lot of line drives, not the meat ground balls we saw for much of the summer. I think, as the year went on and he was struggling and you knew there was a chance that the plug was going to be pulled on him, I think he just got into kind of a very negative place, kind of a protective posture. And then once he lost his job, he said, no, I'm not going to let this happen. I'm going to go get it.
Most painful way to reach base. Here comes Joe along with PJ Mainville. So the bases are loaded with nobody out.
See the tremendous run he gets on his 2-seam fastball.
He'll probably have the bruise on the inner part of his thigh until like December. Here we go. Bases loaded. Nobody out. And Peralta from the line and a strike on Montero. Chance to really bust it wide open here. Soft liner. Everybody back to their respective base. Segura makes the catch. If you had the old Don Zimmer bases loaded hit and run on, it could have turned a quadruple play. Now Russell.
Peralta certainly capable of getting things turned around here, so you don't want to let him off the hook.
Samana in the Dominican Republic. Willie Peralta outside 1-1. Matt Garza is not with the ball club. He made his last start on September 5th. The Brewers announced he was being taken out of the rotation as they wanted to look at some younger guys. He was given a chance to finish the year in the pen. He declined, was pretty upset about it at the time. And last week left the club to be with his wife, who was expecting twins, and Craig Counsell said Garza left on very good terms. He's still under contract for 2 more seasons after this.
Yeah, pretty much a lost year for him. He and Kyle Lowe's both really struggling, and it's a big part of the problem for the Brewers this year. They're veteran starters. But yeah, it made sense to take a look at some younger guys. Garza can reset next year.
Ball 4, and a run is in. Bryant will trot home. Russell gets an RBI on the bases loaded walk, and Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach, is out. It's the 4th walk here these last 2 innings.
Well, you know, Peralta has not been able to establish a secondary pitch here tonight. The slider, he hasn't thrown that many changeups. So Cub hitters can pretty much sit on fastball, and when that's the case, you've got to be so fine. And he's trying to pick away at corners because he doesn't really have a plan B going right now. As long as the Cubs are patient, they're going to continue to draw walks against him. Peralta, just 26 years of age. He was very good last year, as I mentioned, a breakout year for him. He was a 17-game winner. He's certainly capable.
Yeah, think about what they kind of expected to get out of Loesch, Peralta, and Garza. One ball, no strikes on Hamill. Bases loaded, 1 out. Foul tip. Milwaukee just finished a series with the Reds. Both teams had a rookie starting pitcher for every game of the series. It was the first 3-game series since 1913 that had all rookie starting pitchers. Bounced foul.
Strikeout's not the worst thing that can happen.
Hamill felled on that foul ball off himself. Hopefully that doesn't linger.
Outside of the right knee.
Still 2-2.
Peralta right back in there.
This would be at least an 8-pitch plate appearance for Hamill. Bouncer to second. They get both. Double play, 4-6-3. And the Cubs can only get one run. They lead 4-2.
Lakefront or river, contact Anita D Yacht Charters. Anita D specializes in fully customizable corporate outings, social events, and weddings. Book today at anitad.com. Well, we continue social media night here. Hashtag Cubs Social. Send us your questions, your pictures, all on Twitter or Instagram. Of course, the Cubs starting. Hashtag We Are Good with Miguel Montero. And you know, guys, it's usually up to Joe Madden to start a lot of these things, but he said he was glad to see the team start this one.
In the social world, social media world, I know how positive it is and how fun it is and how much of a thing it is right now. I think it's great. I think it's absolutely fabulous. And so I'm all about it. I think it's great. And like I said, I'm glad it came from within.
A lot of fun these guys are having, not only the hashtag We Are Good, but the helmet shirts, the hashtag We Are Good shirts, all kinds of stuff. Just, of course, catching on here in Cubs Nation. And I want to go on and set the record here. Miguel Montero said, guys, my English isn't that good, so We Are Good seemed pretty simple. And so far, it's really caught on.
It has. It's been there all year. A lot of tweets with that hashtag from fans. Curveball misses up, 1-1. Hamill fouled that ball off his leg. Hopefully nothing lingering. 1-1 on Gene Segura. Tap foul near the Cub dugout. 1-2. Since June 1st, Segura in 94 games has just 12 extra base hits. And most of his offense has been of the single variety in these last few months.
Yeah, and he's another guy that hardly ever walks.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Fifth punch out for Hamill. Perez acquired on waivers from Detroit on June 2nd. Bounced foul. The Cubs have selected their minor league player and pitcher of the year in the Cubs organization. Wilson Contreras won the batting title in the Southern League, put up huge numbers. And you see what right-hander Ryan Williams did, South Bend and Tennessee. Congratulations to both. As Perez with a single to center. They will be honored before next Monday night's game against the Royals, final home game of the season. 1-out single. Here's Maldonado, the catcher. Contreras, 23 years old. He led the Southern League with that .333 average. Joe Gate, 1978, the last Tennessee player to win the Southern League batting title. Williams faced 537 batters this year and gave up just 2 home runs. Wow. And a 117 in the Midwest League with South Bend, and then a 276 at Double-A with Tennessee. 10th round pick, 2014, out of East Carolina University.
Well, college kid with that kind of command, sounds like he could come quickly.
Perez runs, Maldonado swings and misses, and runner is safe, and a little bit of a collision there. A tough night for Castro. He got hit by a pitch on the thigh. Looked like the error he made, the ball hit him in the shin, and he and the base runner come together there.
Craig Counsell knows his team doesn't have a lot of firepower, so he's pushing it a little bit on the bases. Santana stole a base in the first. Here goes Perez. Now into scoring position with that steal. Jason, not particularly quick to home plate.
In the air, out into right center. Fowler's got a beat on it, and he makes the catch. Perez tagging, and he will make an aggressive turn around third. He'll hold there with 2 outs. And it's the pitcher, Peralta. Will stay from the stretch, and there's a strike. Mets lead the Braves 4-0 in New York. Atlanta batting on the top of the 8th. This would be another winless start, and at the moment would be a loss for Shelby Miller. He is 0-14 over his last 22 starts. This is the worst such stretch ever for a starting pitcher in an all-star season. And yes, for some reason I've had a morbid curiosity with it every 5th day. I can't help it. I'm rooting for him to end it. That's a tough stretch.
Yeah, and for most of it, he was pitching really well, just wasn't getting any run support. Of late, he's been getting knocked around a little bit, and you could understand why. It starts to wear on you, right, after time?
No doubt. Swing and a miss, strike three. Brewers strand a man at third. Cubs lead this one 4-2 in the fourth.
Take place January 15th through the 17th at the Sheraton Chicago Hotel and Towers. Hotel packages and weekend passes are on sale now. Visit Cubs.com/convention to get your passes before they sell out. They're going like hotcakes. Happy 61st birthday, Mark Wiesbard, celebrating here at Wrigley tonight.
Cubs have won 5 of their last 6, ended their 5-game winning streak yesterday, but they've had 6 streaks of at least 5 consecutive wins this year, 4 since August 1st. Magic number to clinch a playoff spot down to 5 with 13 to go, including tonight.
On pace for 95 wins.
Two teams trailing them washed out tonight. The Nationals hosting Baltimore. Giants and the Nationals 9 games back. 1-1 on Chris Coghlan.
Hard to handicap the value of hosting that wild card game versus playing it in Pittsburgh. But the Cubs got the mojo working here at home. They've won 18 of their last 23 here at Wrigley.
Davison left. Makes the grab. One out, and here's Fowler. Doubled home 2 to give the Cubs the lead in the second. So 13 to go, and just about half of those games, 6, 1 under half. against the Brewers. Will finish the season in Milwaukee. High drive to right, way back, and foul.
And you never know how it's going to play out, but you feel like the Cubs ought to be able to do a lot of damage against this Brewer club. Limping toward the finish line. Some of their star players banged up. We don't know if Jonathan LaCroix will play again. Not sure about Ryan Braun. Jimmy Nelson done for the year. I think Uke's available to pinch hit, but beyond that, not much.
Ran into Bob in the dining room. Was picked by Lynn. He's got it. I said, how do you stay so skinny? And he quickly replied, buy bigger clothes. Hey, happy 65th birthday to one of the biggest Cub fans around, Bill Murray.
Bill 65.
Yeah, he won an Emmy last night.
For
some show he did. I just happened to turn it on, and that was the award they were giving away. It was like a short series. He was a character in some short TV thing, and he was not there. I guess he had a family wedding to attend. Today's his 65th. That'll go 3-1 to end the inning. Cubs go down in order for the second time. They lead this one 4-2. On Comcast Sportsnet and at CSN Mooney on Twitter. Brought to you by Nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. Visit Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. It is social media night. We had the Cubs batting order, and the only guy in that lineup who is not on Twitter, Chris Coughlin. So 8 out of 9.
He'd be really good on Twitter too. He's like a real outspoken guy. Always has something interesting to say. It'd be hard to compress into 140 characters, but he'd be good there.
Swinging strike on Scooter Gennett. I don't know how you cover each game. Well, I do because I follow you on Twitter, but you don't tweet quite as much as some of the other beat reporters during the game. Some will tweet just about everything that happens, every run that scores. What's your over/under on how many tweets per game?
Twitter protocol.
Are you usually working, on stories during the game? Or?
My bosses say I should be tweeting a lot more, and I understand what they're saying. I just think it's hard. Sometimes you're writing 3 stories a day. You're trying to follow what's going on, talking with you guys. personally, I hate play-by-play Twitter in any sport or anything on Twitter, so I've tried to avoid that. And usually, these guys have delivered a lot of good quotes. With Joe Madden, it's pretty much a daily 2 or 3 things you can fire off. Him saying there's no time for baseball narcissism when he's asked about Jason Hamilton getting pulled early from games, stuff like that.
2-2. And Jeanette. Theo Epstein, the Cubs president of baseball operations, with a little pregame gathering with the media, and I'm sure he was asked about potential playoff roster, but he wouldn't quite go there just yet, right? Because the Cubs haven't clinched anything.
Yeah, he's still haunted by the end with the Red Sox there in 2011, but I think we all expect Jake Arrieta to throw in that wild card game, and then after that, I mean, you've seen JD, the amount of lineup combinations Joe has at this point. It's going to come down to who's pitching that day, what he goes with his gut. Javi Baez for defense. What do you do with Starlin?
How many pitchers does he want to have available for one game?
Pretty well out into deep center. Fowler has it. Well, it's a good problem to have, thinking about a playoff roster, and the one game roster could differ from the division series.
Yeah, absolutely. You need a little more starting depth.
There's Schaefer. We haven't talked to you since last week, so your thoughts on the weekend? Man, that was quite a series. Tension-filled, drama-filled.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I was off this weekend, so I wasn't here, and I could pretend that I was. But I do think what Theo said today was interesting. He was asked about it, just kind of the Red Sox-Yankees parallels, and he thought it was a lot like 2003 when the Yankees started to take notice of the Red Sox, that they were there, they could go toe-to-toe with them. And obviously, this from afar kind of looked like one of those, signature weekends where the rivalry the games actually matter now. It's not just about Cardinals fans coming here and partying.
Right, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the rivalry has always existed, and there's always plenty of Cub fans and saying, well, listen, a lot of Cardinal fans here, but the action on the field didn't always, the last few years hasn't really lived up to the reputation of the rivalry. Now it does. And the really interesting thing is the Cardinals have been the best team all year. I'm not convinced they're the best team now. They're banged up. Their pitching hasn't been good in September. The Cubs have the best pitching in September in the National League. And I think the Cubs have the better position players. The starting pitching is what's carried the Cardinals all year. And now that phase of their game is a little bit nicked up, along with Molina, who suffered the thumb injury yesterday.
Well, one of the theories was the Cubs offensively should get better as the season goes along, as the kids get here and get comfortable, and that largely has been accurate. Dexter Fowler had a bad first half, has had a great second half. So this is not the same offensive club that we watched on an everyday basis in May or June.
Yeah, and I don't know if I were to. Once you get into the postseason, anything can happen. Any of the postseason teams can win the whole shooting match. We know that, but I'm not sure I wouldn't rate the Cubs and the Pirates as both better clubs than the Cardinals right now.
Yeah, they just ran out to that huge lead where it seemed like they were that kind of 105 win juggernaut.
They're
clearly not the same. Yeah, without a doubt. But there's some holes in their lineup, and the Cubs have shown that they can win at Busch Stadium, and that their lineup can face their best pitchers and do some damage.
Here comes Chris Bosio as Trevor Cahill. Great relief appearance. That win against the Cardinals on Saturday. I think it's fun that the Royals are coming back after that late May rainout next Monday. Royals may have clinched by that point, probably will have clinched the American League Central, but just for one team to come back, I think it's pretty cool that you have two essentially playoff teams battling this late in the season from each league.
Yeah, you'll have their hitting coach Dale Swain, Ben Zobrist, the guy the Cubs tried to trade for multiple times and who will be a free agent this year, and obviously the Orioles, a team that got hot and ran wild off John Lester last year and made it all the way to Game 7 of the World Series.
There's Lind, 1 on, 1 out.
Cubs Royals currently identical records, 87 and 62.
That's the other thing to come out of this weekend with all the things that happened. Was 3 base runners were thrown out with John Lester on the mound. David Ross a big part of that. Lester made a nice throw to first base. On a pickoff play they got was Johnny Peralta, right? That's not insignificant.
No, without a doubt. You see the scouts in the dining room up here, and they've been following the Cubs for a while, and for him it was just a matter of focusing on Anthony Rizzo at first base and not kind of getting lost in all the crowd and all the peripheral stuff. And Joe Maddon kept saying that there'd be that breakthrough moment, and maybe it happened at the perfect time for the Cubs.
One and 0 the count. There's a strike, 1-1. Talk to Joe just hypothetically about it a little bit, but it will also be interesting to see this weekend against the Pirates. But if both teams have clinched playoff spots, just how he will manage with his assets in terms of, well, this guy might need a day off, but I got to win today for home field. That's deep. Trouble. And we're tied. Adam Lind has just tied the game. I mentioned this earlier. All of his home runs this year have been against righties. That's his 20th. And it's 4-4.
That comes after the walk to Schaefer, a guy who does not have a lot of pop. Lind obviously does. He's the one real. Well, he and this next guy, Davis, the most dangerous threats in their batting order. It's two-seam fastball moving away from him, and he stays on it. Rides it the other way. There's your Ford home run replay. We're tied.
Still only 1 out here in the 5th inning. And Davis takes ball 1. But just the idea of, if you are essentially, JD, locked in the final week, you're in the wild card, you're going to play the Pirates. Let's say that happens. How far do you go to make sure you finish ahead of them?
I think you go pretty far. I don't bring any starting pitchers back on short rest or anything like that. But if I feel like my best lineup includes players ABC, I'm going to play ABC on the given day. The beautiful thing for Joe is on any given day, that lineup looks a lot different from one day to the next. So he's going to be able to rest guys just because of the matchup games he likes to play.
Popped up by Davis. And Rizzo will make the catch.
And the weather's cooler. The energy that comes with being on a winning team. Fatigue is less a factor this time of year. You kind of go through the doldrums a little bit in August. During the long summer months when it's hot, but when you get into the cooler weather and you're heading towards the postseason, fatigue really shouldn't be much of a factor for position players.
Tana fouls back. Well, it's been a fun year, and we'll see how deep the Cubs can go. But I don't think anybody really wants to play them at any point. They're a very dangerous club, and we've talked about this before, Patrick. I think their youth is actually an asset right now.
Yeah, without a doubt, and I think that's why Jason Hamm was going to be, no matter what the story tonight, because you look at him, if he's going in a 5-game playoff series against the Cardinals, you pretty much know what you're going to get from Arrieta and Lester, and that makes the Cubs a really dangerous team. And now it becomes, can the middle to back end of the rotation hold up? Because you look around the rest of the National League, there aren't I don't see too many scary, crazy good teams right now. And if it's all about getting hot at the right time, the Cubs are now, and then it'll just be a matter of how those young guys perform on the biggest stage.
We should also note the Cubs went 7-0 against the Mets, and let's say they match up again in October. This will not be the same Mets team we saw earlier this season either. Well, we can say that about the Cubs, JD. We can say it about Terry Collins' ball club.
Oh yeah,
not the same
absolutely.
offensive team
No,
at all.
man, they couldn't. What's the old adage? You could take BP in the hotel lobby and not break a window. I mean, that was the Met team we saw last time, but this current group is capable of scoring some runs.
That was almost their low point when we left New York. That
absolutely right.
Hot seat.
Coughlin makes the catch. Patrick, you got to get him on Twitter tomorrow. Thanks for stopping by. 4-4 in the fifth. Well, I think, JD, you and I are in favor of getting rid of divisions, right? Just take the top 5 each league.
I would be open to that, absolutely.
The 4th and 5th place team in that league play a wild card game. Bryant and a base hit through the 5.5 hole on that left side. If that were the case this year, the Cubs would be in good shape.
So we're talking about a 15-team National League, no divisions.
Cubs right now would be third. So they would wait it out.
And then the Mets and the Dodgers would play the wild card game.
Winner would get the Cardinals. The Cubs would play the Pirates in the division series. The season ended today.
Under that. Yeah, I like that.
I think you could balance the schedule. And I think we need to at some point, right? There are a lot of 2 games series, funky looking trips.
Yeah, I would, we're all, we kind of lean toward where we came from. But I played in the 2 divisional era, where you played everybody within your own division 3 times, home and road, and then the other division twice, home and road. So you saw a lot of the, certainly a lot of teams in your own division, but you also saw the other teams twice. We only go to the East once, go to the West once. I would be willing to sacrifice interleague play.
Yeah, I probably would too. Rizzo hammers one into the right field corner. Bryant should be able to score. Gary Jones, nope, he's going to stop him. With nobody out, he's not going to take a chance. So, second and third, no outs, as the Cubs try to retake the lead.
Hey, remember back in the second inning when Gary sent Rizzo with nobody out and had the throw been handled at home plate, he probably would have been out. This time Jonesy throws up the stop sign with nobody out and a faltering Willie Peralta on the mound. Two real good swings here to start the fifth. Solid single Bryant, and now Rizzo with his double. And the other thing, the other mitigating factor here is Santana got on that ball in a hurry, and he's got a good strong arm out there in right field. So that ball got back into the infield quickly. More reason for Gary to throw up the stop sign to Chris Bryant. Kind of like Castro's chances the way he's been going.
Sends one in the air. Bryant tagging. Caught by Schaefer. Here comes the throw. Safe. Cubs lead 5-4 on the Castros sacrifice fly. Rizzo at second, still one out. Second RBI of the night for Castro.
A frustrating night for Montero so far. He's come up with men on base both times. So far, he has not been able to come through. Big chance here.
It was second, and Rizzo got back safely. Matt makes a good point on Twitter. If you get rid of interleague play, you can't have 15 teams in each league. That would be a good excuse to expand to 32. Go back to Montreal.
I'm in.
Maybe add one more team out west. Hook to right. It's down. Rizzo around third. Here comes the throw by Santana. Save. 6-4. Montero drives in Rizzo.
There you go. Third time's a charm for Montero. Hashtag we are good. Single, double, sack, single. A little something to throw with out there, Mr. Santana does. The advantage of that throw coming from right field for the base runner. If it's coming from left, you can't see it, obviously. If it's coming from right, you can read the throw.
Swing and a miss, 1-1. Pretty impressive arm by Santana in right. And I noticed a StatCast had Jason Hayward's throw to get Rizzo yesterday at 95.5 miles an hour. With 242 feet. He struck him out. Here's that throw.
Where he did a real nice job getting around that ball, giving himself a good angle. He had some momentum going forward.
See, we watched that play in slow motion. It looked like Anthony was out by 10 feet. Anything offline?
Oh,
or,
yeah.
Any sort of anything different.
Yeah. Molina has to reach up the line a little bit and come back with a sweep tag. Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about that play. You know, should he have gone or not? To me, I think either way. You know, hard to second guess going in that situation. And if you stay put, there's only one out.
Stella, 2 balls, no strikes. That's not a big surprise. That is a really good eye. Tommy is not on Twitter. But he's on the hit board. Montero on his way to third, and he is in. Pinch hit single, Tommy La Stella. Pretty impressive how
I'll tell you one thing,
he's been off the bench.
That's one young man that's definitely going to be on the playoff roster. And hanging out some line drives since he joined the Cubs. And finally going to be it for Peralta.
So it looks like a double switch, and we will sort it out when we come back. 6-4 Cubs. Tyler Thornburg, a right-hander, will do the pitching.
Thornburg has pitched 22 times for the big club this year, 0-2 with a 394. Home runs have been a bit of a problem for him. 32 innings here with Milwaukee. He's allowed 7 home runs. He's fastball, curveball, has a real nice changeup. Done a lot of starting pitching throughout their minor league system, including 17 starts at AAA this year, where he was 2-7 with a 5.28 ERA.
Hey, another big birthday wish. Cubs executive chairman, look at it. He's got the sticker. It's my birthday. Tom Ricketts. And I guess this is a big one for him. The big 5-0. Happy birthday. Hanging out with John Cusack tonight.
Happy birthday, Tom. I told him yesterday he's gone way up in my book because he was on Wait, Don't Tell Me this past weekend. He nailed it.
First and third, 2 runs in. Cubs have regained their 2-run lead. Cahill and Clayton Richard. One and 2. So Jason Hamill can get the win after he gave up the 2-run homer. As the Cubs put up 2 here in the bottom of the 5th.
He may or may not get the win here tonight, but he definitely won't lose, so he will remain undefeated in his career against Milwaukee. They got to him a little bit more here tonight than they normally do.
Bounced foul. Caught by Jeanette. Cubs trying to give owner Tom Ricketts a win for his birthday. 6-4 after 5. In line for history in the making by joining the season ticket holder waiting list. It's easy and free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waiting list. Very nice. Always love to see that. Staying current with technology. Trevor Cahill is on.
Trevor Cahill has been doing a nice job since joining the Cubs. The ground ball pitcher, sinker, slider, curve, and a change. The winner on Saturday.
Really good.
Yeah, the quote-unquote bullpen game. He went 3 1/3, allowed 2 hits, no runs.
Coughlin can't make the play. It trickles by him, and Segura on his way to second, and he's got a double. Ball actually hits Segura Maybe in the ear, side of the face.
Oakland has played a very solid defense this year, whether it's left, right, or his time at second base. He hung in there well.
Well, there's the extra base hit for Segura, who hasn't had that many here lately.
That one looked like Chris just a little tentative, not sure, initially whether he should try to make a play on it or lay back and play it on a hop.
Perez sends one foul to third.
As I mentioned with Cahill, 3 1/3 scoreless Saturday against the Cardinals. Previous outing 2 scoreless against Pittsburgh, 3 shutout in Philadelphia. He and Richard and Travis Wood pitching some very meaningful innings out of the Cub bullpen. We tend to focus on those late game save situations in the 8th and 9th inning, but not for the work of the guys in the middle, and in some cases the spot starts, there's no chance for those guys at the end.
Cahill strikes out Perez, 1 out. We'll bring up Maldonado, the catcher. He's flied to center both times. In the 7th in St. Louis, Reds lead the Cardinals 1-0. Cardinals have had some trouble with the Reds here lately. Jaime Garcia very good. 7 innings, 1 run allowed.
He's been really good this year when healthy. He's having a hard time staying healthy.
Left-hander John Lamb, 6th shutout for the Reds. Reds got their run in the 1st inning. A little pop up, caught by Russell. 2 outs.
As far as you know, do the Reds still have that streak of starts by rookies going?
Yeah, I think so, because they had that whole weekend against Milwaukee, and Lamb is pitching tonight. Yep. That'll be it for Cahill. Here comes Clayton Richard. 2 outs in the 6th. We'll be back. against left-handed hitting Shane Peterson.
20th appearance for Richard, 4-2 with a 4.08.
Runner at second is Segura, 2 outs, 1 ball, no strikes. Richard off the mound. Could have tagged him, but instead he flips to Rizzo, and that'll do it. Bottom 6. Cubs lead the Brewers 6-4. Hashtag Northside Data Strong Fan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Curveball strike, Thornburg to Fowler. Out. 2-1.
Thornburg will work up in the strike zone with a 4-seam fastball, complement with the changeup. Right over the top. There's that good changeup. They've had a string of guys like this. Marco Estrada was here, and Mike Fiers, who moved along to the Astros. This is kind of his MO.
One hopper to Lind. Schwarber is lined out twice. Just a 2 for his last 28 as he steps in. George Wendt and Tim Kazurinsky, a couple of Chicago guys. We'll sing the stretch a little later. They are appearing in the world premiere of Bruce Graham's new play, Funny Man, a fading vaudeville star and his long-suffering agent. Sounds good. Lind again, and he'll get it to Thornburg.
Well, pretty well hit. Rolled over on a little bit, so he didn't get it airborne. Schwarber, seen his batting average take a pretty good dip here lately, but continues to hit the ball pretty hard.
George Wendt, best known as Norm from Cheers. I've had George in the booth a few times. 6 Emmy nominations for his role as Norm Peterson. Kazurinsky lives in Evanston, former cast member of Saturday Night Live with the radio crew. Norm!
He's got to get that everywhere he goes, right?
Hey, have you been to Second City yet?
I have not.
I keep asking you.
No,
You gotta go. It is so much fun. Bryant high in the air to center. Schaefer has it. We will go to the 7th. Cubs leading the Brewers at 6-4. Four. Greg Richards still on top of the order. Richard got Peterson to end the 6th. And as we mentioned, Tim Kazurinsky and George Wendt are here, and I'm going to say hi to Tim briefly. How are you, Tim?
Excited. I got this jacket. Oh, my gosh. Doesn't get any better than this.
It doesn't, does it?
Great.
There's a strike. I was at the 50th Second City reunion, at the big Saturday Night Live reunion. Nothing better than...
Yeah, they gave me the night off to go to the SNL reunion.
Pretty cool.
I was doing Wicked in L.A. and they gave me the night off.
Oh, did they?
Great party.
What was the highlight from the SNL reunion?
The after party.
Sure, the stuff you can't talk about.
No, McCartney played, Elvis Costello, Prince closed the thing. It was amazing. It was incredible. Yeah,
it is.
So are the comedians all want to see the music guys, and the music people all want to see the comedians and try to make you laugh?
Yeah, yeah. The music guys have better groupies than the comedians.
Here is Logan Schaefer. One on, nobody out. Whoa. That one gets by, and Jeanette with an aggressive turn. He's going to try to get to third. They've got a play on him, and he is out. Jeanette convinced he was safe. How about that play?
Yeah, there's one you don't see every day. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever seen this play. And you see the dive at the finish for the bag. We can't really tell there one way or the other. You should get a better look here.
He's out.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know.
I think he was safe. The question is, did his hand come off the bag? See it? Yeah.
It's a tough call.
Yeah, and the call was out, so they've got to have enough evidence to overturn, and Craig Counsell will challenge. So we'll get our Forsythe Technology replay review, and while we...
If he's out, does he got to change his name from Scooter?
Yes, he does, actually, Tim. So tell us about the new play, Funny Man.
It's George and I together again after we've known each other 40 years. And I have a line in the show where I say of my client, I'm his long-suffering agent. And I say, I've known the guy 40 years. And I've actually known this guy 40 years. We go way back. And he is he's a very famous comedy guy like Burt Lahr. And I am trying to convince him to do an absurdist play in the year 1959 to change his career. And he's very reluctant, shall we say.
Okay.
But it's very funny, and it's also a very heartwarming show. So it's a little more drama than comedy, actually. But
and you opened when?
We opened last Friday.
Okay.
And we're going to run through October 25th at Northlight. So if you're up at Old Orchard, we're kitty corner.
Sounds great. I'm in.
There's 4 other people in the show who are amazing. They're really wonderful Chicago actors, and it's a great, fun show to do.
Now, is this a show that's been out there? Is this a
No.
play that was written a long time ago, or is this a relatively new play?
It's a brand new work by a guy, by Bruce Graham, and it's a terrific script. And B.J. Jones has done a great job with directing it. And we got a super review today from Chris Jones in the Trib, so
great.
That should help our audiences.
Absolutely.
But,
it's a long wait here to see if Jeanette is out or safe. And for now, he is out. So are you guys going to sing a harmony here, or are you just going to sing it straight? What do you got, anything up your sleeve here? Are you going to do it?
Are we singing harmony, George?
George says, I don't think so.
We'll probably be singing hominy. Hominy grits.
Well, Tim, thanks for stopping by. We're going to actually chat with George for a minute
George.
here. But enjoy the stretch tonight.
It's going to be real fun.
Yeah. Big fan of your work.
It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here, Tim Kazurinsky. All right, we're going to bring George in here. Yeah, come on in, George.
Tag up.
And we're going to get the call. So it's been upheld. But Jeanette is out. A very strange play. So a wild pitch, and yet he's still out. How about that?
A really aggressive play to try to get 2 bases there, and it looked to me, on that look right there, it looked to me like he was safe. But obviously they didn't have enough to overturn the call on the field, which was out.
So that is the first out of the inning. And 1-1 count on Logan Schaefer. Hi, George. Welcome back to the booth. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fresh as a daisy. As always.
So you get to sing with Tim tonight. We heard about the play. Sounds like a wonderful play.
Yeah, it's a very interesting piece. Not as funny as you might expect. Oh, there's quite a few laughs, but Tim gets them all. I get to be a jerk.
To be a bit straight man, or just a bad guy?
I'm just a horrible human being.
2-1.
I don't know why. Anyway, yeah, I just yell at people.
Ball hit hard. Coughlin will make the catch. So 2 outs in the inning. Quickly, 2 quick questions about Norm Peterson. Number 1, I think I've asked you this before, but I'll ask you again. Was there ever real beer in the mug?
There hardly ever real beer in the mug.
Hardly ever. Okay, good.
Towards the end of the evening, maybe.
And number 2, was the character written the way it turned out over the course of the long run of the show, or did it increase in terms of the popularity of that character as time went on?
It was always a work in progress. We just, they would write and we would say the words, and then you'd learn something about yourself every week. They would say, that you were born, in Springfield, or that your real name was Hillary. But, oops.
Oh, time to sing.
Uh-oh. SpaghettiOs. Here we go.
We're going to, boys.
There you go, George. George and Tim with the stretch coming up.
Take me out to the ball game. Actors and comedians George Wendt and Tim Kazurinsky.
All right, Cub fans, let me hear ya. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if we ever get back. Let me root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. 'Cause it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. All right, Cubbies, all the way this year. Let's get some runs.
Tradition, purchase your limited edition Chicago Cubs home and away Christopher Radko glass ornament. Ornaments are $60. All proceeds benefit Cubs charities. Visit Cubs.com/ornament for more information. Cesar Jimenez. See his numbers combined with the Phils and the Brewers.
And they're very good numbers, 17 2/3, so not a lot of work, but quality work. 10 hits, 7 walks, 21 punch-outs, and opponents batting 164 against the young left-hander.
Peralta went 4 2/3. Thornburg went an inning and a third. He retired all 4 he faced. Strike on Rizzo. I saw the note. Fraser Crane is the only character in sitcom history to appear, I think, in 3 different shows. Wings, well, Cheers, Wings, and Frasier.
Wings,
I believe
the
Fraser
airport.
Crane,
Fraser Crane was.
I think so. That has nothing to do with anything other than he was in Cheers with Norm.
Gomer Pyle was in Andy Griffith before Gomer Pyle. But I don't think there was a third. I know. I'm stretching here.
3 balls and a strike on Rizzo.
Shazam.
Big night for Rizzo. Walk, single, double, 2 runs. And his 3rd hit on for the 4th time. Stroke up in the bullpen. Maybe it was 4 sitcoms. People are now sending me other characters who were in 3. All I know is Fraser Crane set the record. One and one. One to Castro. He's knocked in a couple. Jimenez has a side from Maldonado. Good lead by Rizzo. Not going, and no pitch. Time had been called.
Anthony's certainly capable of stealing a base. Jimenez really paying a lot of attention to him.
Maybe that was a pitch. We've got 2 and 1 on the board, as it looked like Castro had vacated.
I think he called time. I thought I heard home plate umpire call time.
That will drop. And Jeanette's got to go get it. Rizzo on his way to third. Castro to second with a bloop double.
Well, when you're hot, you're hot. Even if you're not hitting it hard, good things happen, apparently. That's been the story for Castro of late. Mostly it's been solid contact. This time a little flare settles in there between Jeanette and Peterson in shallow right field. Scooter Jeanette kind of quit on this one a little early.
I wonder if there's a little residual effect, and you see the right arm there with that bandage from the collision the other night.
See Anthony kind of having to wait. That's a tough read for a base runner. He really had no choice but to go to third base because Castro was halfway to second by then. Starlin was not really reading Anthony. He was just reading the ball down. Counsel forced to pull his infield in here, down 2 in the 7th, at least partway in.
And a strike on the pinch hitter Solair.
Well, with Solair up there, as hard as he hits the ball, those infielders on the left side, they'll be looking at a Counsel because this is good here, right? This is far enough.
Solair bats for Montero. Fouled away. Driven out in the deep center. Safer back. It is gone. 3-run homer off the bench.
Another guy playing the game. Hey, Joe, don't forget about me. Change up being the operative word, and then out. Crushed by Solair on 0-2. Enjoy the Ford home run replay.
Second one since he came back from the disabled list. Solair homered on Saturday with Michael Wacha. So it's a 9-4 ball game. Single, double, homer to start the 7th. That seems to be the new deal now, right? The sunflower seed shower in the dugout.
So many trends to keep up with.
I know.
Secret handshakes, helmet rubs.
Snapped a streak in the ballgame yesterday. They did not homer here in this ballpark for the first time in 18 games. Russell really took a tumble as Lind on the tag. Got him.
And Joe's asking for a little time here as they take a look at this one.
Yep,
yeah, it looked like he brushed that leg. You gotta be careful taking that action, evasive action like that. You could twist the knee.
Looks like Russell's all right as he heads back to the dugout. Here's Austin Jackson in the pitcher spot. By the way, the note was the only actor to be nominated 3 times for the same character in 3 different shows. As Fraser Crane, he was nominated 3 different times on 3 different shows. It's pretty impressive.
So he didn't just show up, he starred.
Right.
Yeah. Bill Murray, by the way, won his Emmy for Olive Kitteridge on HBO.
I might have to watch it. I don't get to see a lot of shows during the season.
No.
Usually put them on my wish list for the off season. Javier Baez on deck.
Blue Jays hung on to beat the Yankees 4-2. Now have a 3.5 game lead over the Yankees. 7 shutout innings for David Price. Man, how good has he been?
Poor Shelby Miller. Braves got shut out 4-0. 0-15 over his last 23 starts. Jackson swings and misses on a 3-2. And then is with his first strikeout.
Yeah, that's going to be wild, boy. When he looks back on his career and talks about, he probably will make more all-star teams, but to be an all-star and end up 10 games under 500 or wherever he ultimately ends up, it's not going to be pretty.
And his last win was the game in Miami, right, where he gave up a hit with 2 outs in the 9th.
I believe that is correct.
It was in May. 1-0 on the pinch hitter Baez. 9-4 Cubs. Oof. 1-1. Left field, Davis to the warning track, and it's going to be off the wall. And Baez will stand at second. It's a double. Well, this lineup has been really good, and it's scary to think that it can get even better with these kids.
Well, again, it's a changeup. And again, it's up out towards the end of the bat a little bit, but Baez is so strong and that bat so quick, he's still able to hit it a long way. 4th hit of the inning. Second time tonight the Cubs have had 4 in an inning. They now have 12 on the evening.
Now it's back to the pitcher. He'll get Fowler. 1-3. 3-run homer, Jorge Soler, and the Cubs now lead big by 5 as we go to the 8th. Speed action on social media night. Good stuff. Justin Grimm, I think I mentioned this recently. He catches most of the ceremonial first pitches. He just really enjoys meeting people and the experience of it. As Austin Jackson will stay in and play right. David Ross will catch. Baez will play second. Tommy Hunter will do the pitching.
4-2 with a 4-0-1. Split between Baltimore and Chicago. This is his 18th appearance with the Cubs. For 17, covered 13 2/3 innings. And he's pitched to a 5.27 ERA as a Cub. Under 29 years of age. Started his career with the Rangers as a starting pitcher. "13-game winner with the Rangers back in 2010.
Davis out into deep right center. Fowler's back on it, and it's gone. A home run for Chris Davis, his 23rd. That is his 8th on the road. 15 have come at Miller Park.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot lately. You look at the out-of-town box scores over the last few weeks, and Chris Davis has been hitting for a lot of power. Tommy Hunter has been plagued a little bit by the long ball. That's the 4th one he has given up since joining the Cubs. As I mentioned, he's pitched 13 2/3 innings in a Cub uniform. The location has not been sharp at times. Got a great arm, upper 90s fastball.
Jason Rogers for Jimenez. David Goforth up in their bullpen.
Stroke back up in the Cub pen just in case.
On the ground to the shortstop, Russell. Easy play.
Most popular way to follow the Cubs' push to the postseason is with MLB.com at bat. The #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, StatCast, live radio broadcasts, and more. Get MLB.com at bat. Get it now.
Segura 1 for 3 with a double. One ball, no strikes. White Sox swept the Tigers in a day-night doubleheader. 2-0 and 3-2. Earlier today it was Jeff Samardzija with a complete game 1-hit shutout.
It's been a very tough year for Samardzija.
He did it on 88 pitches, 60 for strikes, no walks. He struck out 6. Line foul out of play.
Jeff 10 and 13 now with an ERA a little above 5.
Astros go to the 9th with a 6-1 lead over the Angels in Houston. Gaddis and Correa have homered for the Astros. Swing and a miss, gets out of the glove of David Ross. He'll fire to Rizzo. Keuchel very good tonight. 7 2/3, 1 run. He didn't get really knocked around.
The Rangers got him. Yeah, Rangers really unloaded on him. The Cardinals scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th, hung on to beat Cincinnati 2-1.
The Cubs win. In terms of the division, will keep them within 6. But with 12 games to go, very tall order, and still have Pirates ahead of them as well.
Pirates leading the Rockies 6-3. In Denver, they're in the bottom of the 6th. Starlin Marte and Ramos Ramirez have gone deep for the Pirates.
Jordy Mercer 3 for 3, 2 knocked in out of the 8th spot.
Catcher Tom Murphy for the Rockies, first major league home run tonight.
Short center, Baez will give way. Fowler makes the grab. Davis leadoff homer. Cubs lead 9-5 in the 8th.
come to mind. Arrieta for his dominance. Rizzo just the consistency in the all-around game. But just in terms of pleasure watching, probably Addison Russell, watching him develop in the plays he's made at shortstop. And then the wild card, the other guy I'm going to throw into this is David Ross. And just in terms of pure pleasure watching him play the game, I love to watch David Ross play the game.
I can't add much to that. I mean, Schwarber, 22 years old, the year after he was drafted. I got to go with Arrieta. Said the best year I've ever seen from a starting pitcher. Whether that will be enough to win him the Cy Young, I don't know. But we start to take his greatness almost for granted. That's how great he's been.
And that's what happens with the great ones. You talk about the shortstop, when the ball is hitting his direction with 2 outs, you start heading to the dugout because you know that the play is going to be made. So the same thing when it's Arrieta's day to pitch. You just assume he's going to give you 8 innings of 1-run baseball.
David Goforth.
Too bad they didn't have a catcher named Prosper. But they don't.
Great battery.
We'll have to settle for Goforth and Maldonado.
1-1 to Schwarber inside.
Mid-90s fastball and a slider. We'll see what you're going to see from Goforth.
Product of the University of Mississippi. 7th round pick, 2011. 16th major league appearance. He's given up 4 home runs in 19 innings. He walked him.
That's the thing. Schwarber going through a tough patch here. The ball not falling in for him, but he continues to take his walks. Just have to commit to the process. Have good at bats. Keep swinging it. Sooner or later, the ball's going to start to fall.
Bryant has singled twice and scored both times. That will get in there for a base hit. Schwarber makes a turn. Schaefer's throw toward third. He airmails it. And Goforth, backing up the play, might have kept that ball from going out of play.
Well, 3rd hit of the night for Chris Bryant, and I guess it tells you the depth of this team and the quality of the players on this team that we had that little conversation about who we've enjoyed watching play. And we didn't even mention Chris was going to be the Rookie of the Year. It's just been absolutely phenomenal, especially here in the last month or so. Good play by Goforth, hustling over to get into backup position and saving a run, at least for now.
Rizzo will reach again all 5 times as they will give him the intentional walk. Matt Caesar is on deck. Ball 4.
Banged out 13 hits. They've had all kinds of traffic in this ball game. They've had 9 cross home plate. Tomorrow they send Jake Arrieta to the mound in pursuit of win number 20. Tyler Cravey et al. Will pitch for the Brewers tomorrow evening.
Ball one on Matt Caesar.
Looking for a nickname for Caesar this year. It would be Shuttle. Up and down so many times between Iowa and Chicago.
Did Caesar ever say "go forth" in any one of his famous quotes?
We have to assume at some point Caesar's told somebody to go forth and conquer.
Swing and a miss, 1-2.
.292 batter at AAA Iowa this year.
Cubs with a 4-run lead, trying to add on here in the 8th inning. Infield in for Milwaukee. The pitch on the ground. Throw will go to the plate. Force play there. So Schwarber's out. Cubs magic number at 5. Get it down to 4 with a win here tonight. Let's see what the Pirates and Cardinals have left.
Let's have the series with the Pittsburgh here this weekend. Pirates and the Cardinals have 1 series remaining.
David Ross, 3 on 1 out. He went around.
Pirates will host St. Louis next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday after their 3-game set here.
The 0-2 outside.
Cubs a little sloppy defensively early in this ball game, but the offense has been outstanding.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Yeah, that'll cover up some issues. Russell.
2 walks you saw there for Addison tonight. One of them came with the bases loaded, so he picked up an RBI, his 50th.
Goforth trying to get out of a bases loaded, no out situation. He got Caesar on the fielder's choice ground out and then struck out Ross. Now 1-1 on Russell. Foul tipped. Send the count to 1-2.
Pretty lively arm. 95, a little hop there. It's a little cutter too.
Long ball to Segura. Jeanette covering second. That will end the inning. Cubs missed a chance to add on, but they lead by 4 as we head to the ninth.
To hear Miguel Montero and his teammates discuss the season-long theme that started way back in April. It's the Hunt for October, presented by Feldco, tonight on Sportsnet Central after the game. Three outs to get, and it will fall to Travis Wood. 5-4, 4.09 the ERA for Travis. He gets 240 against him. He's been on a pretty good roll here of late. Bullpen overall has been quite good lately, and for the season, a 3.50 bullpen ERA, good for 6th best in the league.
Special thanks for engaging with us on social media. It's been fun, and make sure to tune into Cubs Postgame Live with Cap and Holly, and they will share which moment won your vote as the best 2015 Cubs moment so far. Thank you, Trevor. Very nice. See you at the family reunion in a couple weeks. Maldonado. Oh man, I hope everybody's all right. And thankfully they are. I wasn't even watching the ball as the broken barrel of that bat went about 15 rows up. I just hope everybody is okay. One out here in the ninth.
Everybody down in that section turning around to pay attention, but probably ought to turn back around and pay attention to what's going on the field, just in case something else comes flying in that direction.
strike on Peterson. Just outside that time. And Ricketts checking on the fans, and I think everybody's in one piece. It's good news. One and two.
One run allowed by Travis in his last 6 appearances, covering 10 innings of work. In that stretch, 13 strikeouts against 3 walks.
Swing and a miss, strike 3, 2 gone. More out, and it'd be 8 in a row in this season series. That's the longest winning streak, already at 7 the Cubs have ever had against Milwaukee. Jeanette. Strike 1. $34,373, the paid crowd tonight. A strike away.
Fell behind early, but they put up a lot of runs. And now 1 pitch away from claiming another W.
The 0-2. Ross jumped out of his crouch. 1 and 2. Good into his windup. Swing and a miss. Cubs win. Magic numbers down to 4 as they beat the Brewers 9-5.
Jason Hamill will pick up the win. It'll be his 9th. He struggled early on, but made it through 5. Allowed 4 runs, 3 earned. And boy, what a job by the bullpen. Cahill, Richard, Hunter, and Wood. Hunter got touched up for the solo home run, but everybody else spot on here. And Craig Counsell left to peruse his notes. What went wrong tonight? A whole lot of hitting by the Cubs.
And a nice birthday present for Tom Ricketts. So the Cubs are now 20-5 in their last 25 games here at Wrigley Field.
You got to be able to defend your turf, and they've been a very good road club too. I mean, this club has been so consistent, home and road. And the best baseball of the season right now, peaking at the right time. And they got Arrieta going tomorrow.
W Flag has been very busy here lately. Kelly Crow standing by with Anthony Rizzo.
Thanks a lot, guys. Well, Anthony, the aggressive base running really paid off tonight. Will you describe how that mentality has changed the way this team plays this season?
It started in spring training, and it's something that Joe wanted us to do, and we've been doing it all year. We're aggressive, we're reckless on the base pass. We make some mistakes sometimes, but we really put the pressure on the other team to make good throws, and today's a big win, especially after that weekend series we had. Just come out today and get the win is nice.
Whether it be lessons or experience, describe the biggest difference for you this September in comparison to those past.
That we're playing winning baseball, and we have a legitimate shot to secure a home field advantage spot in that wild card game, and we just got to keep playing, and these next 2 weeks will be exciting.
Absolutely. Tonight was social media night at the ballpark, and we posed to a lot of people their best moment so far this season. Would you give us yours thus far?
That Addison Russell play up the middle versus the Cardinals. the circumstances of the game versus the Cardinals. It was a big play, and it really lifted us up there.
So, Anthony, thank you so much. Thanks. There you go. 5 times on the bases tonight, Anthony Rizzo, and he picked Addison Russell, guys.
Yeah, it's a good choice. Considering the circumstances, as he said, pretty darn impressive. And our Benny's Beverage Depot